Hello and welcome. I am so excited to be sharing with you guys. I sent out a poll to my audience and on LinkedIn, and overwhelming response. You want to know, how do you go after a promotion? How do you secure a raise? And so I have worked with hundreds of women. I have done this myself. I have a 7-step process that I like to follow and I like my clients to follow. And today I am going to share that with you. Yes, I'm going to share it with you. And then all of the videos that I do around this topic are going to end up in my membership area. So later on, I'll tell you more about that. But let's get into the promotion. So first off, if you don't know me, my name is Malia Lim. You can find me on LinkedIn. And that is where I produce content to help women in STEM elevate their careers, get some momentum, get those raises, get those promotions. I have been an engineering specialist. You see all my hard hats, right? I have been an engineering specialist for over 10 years, just under 15, somewhere in there, right? So I have come up in Fortune 100 enterprise organizations as their global engineering specialist. Which was very unheard of for a woman, especially a woman of color, especially somebody who's so young. So a lot of the tactics that I teach come from my own personal acceleration, but as I have taught them to hundreds of women and I've seen them work and I've seen where they get hung up, we've refined this method over and over. And so I'm very, very excited to help you. Some client highlights that I have had is that on average, on the low end, I would say my clients get about an $8,000 raise. On the high end, we could $20,000 to $25,000. But on average, somewhere between like 10 and 15 is usually what they get once they implement all of these methods. And so in my community, I will be sharing these in addition to a wealth of other trainings. I have been doing this for a handful of years now as an actual business, but I have always mentored, I have always coached, because as a woman, I want to see more of us in those rooms. So I'm not by myself. Okay. So additionally, I'll be sharing some other resources like some books and some other things that will help you along this journey. But ultimately, all that stuff can be found in my community, which I'll share. It's on School. So anywho, I just started migrating all of my stuff into this new platform, so I'm a little excited about it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna talk about it a lot. Be prepared. All right, so before I get into the 7 steps to getting a promotion, I want to know from you guys, like, promotion or raise, which one is it? I mean, the steps are essentially the same, but like, do you want a new title? Do you want a new department? Do you want like different responsibilities, or do you want to just get paid more for what you're already doing? Um, I always find that answer interesting. There are some people that are like, no, I want to move into management. I'm ready to lead, go into finance or try a different department or whatever it is. Versus there's also a lot of people who are like, I don't want to manage anybody, myself included. I don't want to manage people. I just want more authority and more money doing the same things I'm doing now. And it's totally possible. It's definitely totally possible. So I'm curious to know. Let me know in the chat which one you are. So I think it's always interesting. But rest assured, the 7 steps that I'm going to share with you work for either path. It's just helpful for you to know which one you want to go after, so you can kind of like just be more intentional as you go through it. Also, today I'm going to share with you the 7 steps, but in my overall promotion playbook that's going to be in my community, there are more than just these 7 steps. So these are the steps. This is like where we start. Okay. And I'm going to try and give you guys as much value as possible today. I never want our time together to be in vain. Like, I always want you guys to be walking away with actionable things that you can like begin to implement and change your career and change who you are as a professional and get the most out of your career, right? Like, we don't have to spend this time together. You could be anywhere else, but you chose to be here, and I want to make it valuable for you, because that's what I would want somebody to do for me, right? But in addition to these 7 steps, my full promotion playbook program is going to have like how to get through toxic workplace. So there's a toolkit for that. There's self mastery lab. So I'm currently writing a book on confidence and some other discipline, habits, things like that. These are all things that, as I've helped women over the years, I kind of just see that it's more than just the steps, right? Because every workplace is different. Every person is different. Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? Is your boss for you? Leads me to my next one, the bad boss bypass. Yeah. So if your boss is like not really supportive of what you're trying to do, it becomes very difficult. I've experienced that myself. And so how do you navigate growing yourself as a professional in your career when your direct supervisor is one of your biggest hurdles, right? So a communication course also for you introverts, as well as like technical people, like how do you communicate to stakeholders, how do you present, how do you network, how do you all of those things. Productivity powerhouse. I don't want you going after promotions and just getting more responsibility and burning yourself out. Like, we really need to be intentional about how we change the landscape of our work responsibilities as we grow as professionals. And then also, I just give a lot of productivity techniques and methods, having grown up with ADHD. And I'm sure a lot of you are self-diagnosed ADHDers out there. Just being able to feel confident in your productivity is going to allow you to move confidently towards a raise and a promotion without fear that it will consume you and burn you out, right? So I've seen that fear come up in some of my clients that were already feeling like, I already work so hard. How much harder can I work? It's not about working harder. It's about working smarter. Okay. Impact intensive, it really dives into the business acumen and being able to leverage your impact in the organization to get you raises and promotions, even outside of your typical performance review cycle, and when they typically give raises at the end of the year and stuff. Like, if you nail impact, you can ask for a raise at any time of the year, by the way, in case you didn't know that. So that'll be in there. The Ask Playbook. So that's about negotiation and self-advocacy. A lot of us as women were never taught how to ask for things that we need and that we want. And so my mother is a lawyer. Lucky me, I've been negotiating my whole life, apparently. But I actually really love negotiation. So when I have a coaching client that works with me directly, we will get on the call. We will get on calls. We'll be texting. We'll be emailing through the negotiation. So one of my recent clients, we got her an additional 25,000. She was calling me. She was like, okay, they said this, or this is the email. How do I respond? And they want a reply by the end of the day. And I'm like, no, you don't have to. No, just tell them this and tell them that. Like, I think it's a dance and it's fun, but I've done it many times, many times. And I've done it well many times. So all the nerves and the anxiety around it has fallen off for me. So I want to transfer that to you. I want to give you permission to not be nervous about it and to help you navigate those asks. Because honestly, like, I still sweat. I still get nervous. I still am anxious about it, but I just know how to sit in that and still move forward with the tactics of negotiation. But when you've never done it before, oh my goodness, it can be overwhelming. And so putting together a playbook for that. And then the Leap Launchpad. So I have had clients that have done all of these 7 steps that we're about to go through. Whatever other thing that was going on, whether it was a bad boss, they were new to negotiating, or whatever, the toxic workplace, whatever it was that was kind of hanging them up, we worked through all that and yet still could not get them a raise or a promotion, that meant that workplace was never going to give them a raise or a promotion. And so in that, I want to make sure that my clients see success. So how do you find a new job? How do you get into a new workplace where you will be given opportunities when you show up and make impact and do the things that you're supposed to do, and you're treated fairly for it? There are some places, especially in today's climate, that are just unfair, and it is what it is. And so once we've tried and we've recognized it, then you can walk away with your head held high, no guilt, and you can just say, I tried my best, and you guys aren't here to play ball with me. I'm out. And it's a very empowering position to be in. I've helped a handful of women go through that transition. I never like to see anyone leave a workplace out of fear or out of the fact that they're so over it and all these other things. Because if you don't do these steps ahead of time, you could be leaving money on the table. You could be leaving a title on the table. You could be walking away from a valuable network. And I say all of these things as somebody who has done these things and seen some people do it by the time they get to me. So I want to, I empathize for the people that are ready to leave. Like I get a lot of clients that come to me and they're like, I'm ready to be out. Help me find another job. And though I hear you, I want to encourage every single person to go through these steps. If you don't do it for the mere fact that you're trying to get a raise or a promotion, do it for the practice. If you're over that company anyways, like get some practice in. Get good at negotiating even when you know it's a no. Like, okay, if you know it's a no, then you literally have nothing to lose. Go practice asking, go practice putting together the emails, go practice making your case, go do the research, go practice in a space where you're not tied or invested in the result. And then you can walk away having practiced, having built up a strong network, and leave on your terms, right? It's total game changer mindset shift than just being like, I have to get out of here right now. And that energy comes into play when you're negotiating with your new job and receiving job offers and interviewing and all of that. So like there's a whole energy dynamic when it comes to that. So that's what the Leap Launchpad is about. And these are the 9 like core elements that go into my full promotion playbook that goes into my community. So I just wanted to kind of give you guys a high level of it, because even though we're going to go through the 7 steps right now, if there is something that I don't hit on, it may fall into one of these other areas. So feel free to ask those kinds of questions, but I would more so encourage you to join the community. It's free to try it out. And then you can ask your questions there and I can get those answered to you. And like I said, we just signed up, so I have yet to migrate things over. If you join today, it's going to be empty, but don't worry, rest assured. But like we're starting to migrate things over. And anywho, okay. Enough about me, more about you and your raise and your promotion. If you are ready to hear the 7 steps that if you do these steps, it's almost like I'm not a gambling woman. I like to shop. I like to know that I'm going to go home with things. That's what this is. This is shopping. This is not gambling. Okay. If you eat better and work out, your body will be healthier. Period. You can't not be. It just is what it is. Laws of success are laws of success, no matter what arena. When you do these 7 steps, you either will get a raise, get a promotion, or you will identify exactly what it is that is hindering that process, which positions you to troubleshoot it or get it out of the way. And once it is out of the way, you should be smooth sailing. And if you still don't land on it, it was never going to happen. And wouldn't you rather know that now so that you can go find somewhere else that's going to pay you what you're worth than just waiting for somebody to notice your hard work? All right. I'm excited. Drop ready in the chat. Ready. Ready, 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 ready. Ready, 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 ready. And connect with me on LinkedIn. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Okay. 7 steps. All right. So the first one is to define the goal. Do you want a raise? Do you want a promotion? Okay. What does that look like in context to your organizational structure? Does that role exist? Will it be vacant? Is that something that can be created? So if you're promoting, if you're getting a raise within your own title, so I'm a principal mechanical engineer. If I were to go after like chief engineer, that would be a raise. And in order for me to say that is a justifiable goal, I need to look at my organizational structure and say, do they have like employee positions of chief? Is this a reality? Or if I were to say, hey, I want to go into finance, I want to be a finance analyst or something, do we have a finance department? Do we have a need for financing analysts or whatever, right? Like is it a thing? It may not be. I don't want you to think of it as like, is it happening right now, or who's there now, or whatever. No. Super basic, super basic. Does it exist? Could it exist? Right? Think about the job bands. So a lot of companies have like levels um and descriptions and things like that. It just is within the context of your organization. Is it structured to accommodate a role like that? Right? Then what I want you to do is whatever this role is that you're looking for, whether you're raising up or promoting to a different department or whatever, I want you to find 3 to 5 synonyms for that title and go find job postings for those various titles. So for me, it could be, I'm principal now, so I could look up principal engineer, I could look up staff engineer, I could look up chief engineer, because those are all the individual contributor technical positions that if I just continue to go straight up, it would be, right? So sometimes they're called different things at different companies. Sometimes staff is higher than chief, or sometimes chief is higher than staff. I don't know, whatever. But you want to kind of think about a couple synonyms for that, and then look up job postings for that. And when you look up look up those postings, you're going to be looking for your required qualifications versus the preferred qualifications, so that you can get a sense of where you land in relation to the job that you're trying to get. Do you have all the required qualifications today? If not, let's go ahead and start thinking about how can we get that experience. Which it's totally fine if you don't. It's totally fine if you don't. If you do have all the required, how much of the preferred do you have? Right? So this understanding where you lie in the marketplace is how HR will pay you. Essentially, HR professionals look at other marketplaces for the types of roles and responsibility, and they basically try to match. You can have some wiggle room within the organization based on your years of history and other things like that. But generally speaking, HR is matching skills, experience, qualifications, roles and responsibility to the marketplace pay range for those skill sets. And so when you understand where you land in relation to the marketplace for the role that you're trying to get, this is going to help you understand how close or how far off you are from your goal. And you need to understand that before you go asking for a raise or a promotion or all these other things, because Maybe you're asking, hey, is this something that if I were to develop these skills, you would endorse and then promote me? So sometimes you may have to, not a performance improvement plan as in you're in trouble, but a personal development plan to get you to where you want to be in order for them to say, okay, now you match the market skill sets, we can justify this pay raise or whatever, right? So we're just anticipating what the world looks like from their perspective, but also it helps you define your end goal so that all the other steps are strategically aligned with that. Okay. Okay. Step 2. So that was step 1, is define the goal. Really think about, do you want to promote? Do you want to raise? What do those job titles look like? And where do you fall as far as the preferred experience qualifications in the marketplace? Good. Step number 2, assess the landscape and audit the gaps and create a clear path. I really have to work on these names. We're gonna come up with fancier names than this. This is, by the way, I've not put this document out just yet. This is what I use when I coach everybody. I make duplicates of this document and I add notes for each of my clients so that we can walk them through this process. So this is like my notes that I'm reading to you. Like, this is, if you ever wanted to know how it is that I can help clients go after raises and promotions so confidently, these are the steps. So what we talk about, when I talk about assess the landscape, okay, I want you to, so I mentioned the bands, and that's not part of the first one, but it is part of the second one. Employee bands and levels. Most organizations have like, and executive level, then VP, then director, then upper management, the middle management, lower management, the individual contributor, then like they have like these levels, right? And if you go to your HR business partner or whoever it is, they have that information, and it usually has a description of like a management leadership levels and like a description of what each level is and kind of like the high level explanation of their skill sets or responsibilities. And then they also have one for the individual contributor. They should have that. If your company is a little more established, you may even have it by area. So if you're engineering, if you're a scientist, if you're finance, if you're operations, if you're whatever department, grade or department you are in, they may even have explanations of what that looks like based off of your role category, right? So like you could be a level 3 F category or so you'd be a 3F, and so you go read 3F, but then you also, to know where you are today, but then you're going to really be looking at 4F because you want a raise, right? You want to go up a level, so you want to look at 4F to know what is the next level. What are those roles, responsibility, and qualifications look like? How close am I? What do I not have right now? This is where we're looking for gaps between where you are right. We want to define the gaps between where you are right now and where you're trying to get to. You've already looked at it from a marketplace perspective, so you can start to bring some of that in, but you really want to define it within the context of your organization and how they define roles and responsibilities and levels, right? So if you're a 3F or F3, but you want to change a different department, you want to become a B. I'm making this up now. You want to become a B. It's easier to become a B3, stay on the same level and change departments and then bump up to a B4 than it is to go from an F3 to a B4. So you don't want to change 2 at one time. You want to, right? And so if you were to change departments, you would stay on the same level, B3 F3, and then you would go into that with the understanding that you're on an accelerated path to promote, to have a raise within the B, to go from B3 to B4. So really, if B4 is your goal, what you're going to do is go from F3 to B3 to B4. And that is going to be your path. And so you may have to hit, that may take you like 2 years just to, or maybe they give you one at the end of the year, and then after like 3 or 6 months, then you get the other one. But you still want to define the whole path as you're creating this like gap assessment development plan, so to speak. Right. And so understanding how your organization defines those different categories, defines the levels, if they have any written descriptions on the role that you have, on the role that you want to start gathering those things so that you can identify, what do I have now and with respect to where I'm trying to go. Because if where you want to go, you have all the experience already, boom, we're done. There is no gap to close. There's no gap to close. Now we just move to step 3. But if you do have gaps, totally fine. Let's focus on closing those expeditiously. And that leads us to step 3. Okay, so we talked about the company structure, that there may be multiple paths or the multiple stops on your path. Oh, and closing the gaps. You can preliminarily think of ways to close it. So if you know that there's projects going on at work, or if there's training that you could take, like LinkedIn trainings, or go to conferences and get training, whatever it is that you think you could do to close the gap, you should try to identify that. And if you can't, it's okay. That's what your supervisors and leadership is for, to help you understand. But do try to identify, how could I close this gap? If they assign me to this special project, if they give me this opportunity, if they send me to this training, if I'm allowed, 2 hours a week to do a self-study course or whatever, then I could close this gap. Okay. So try to think about how you would close that gap. And you may not be able to do this without help, but one of the things that is very essential for putting together this gap closure plan for you is flagging any time sensitive gap. So like, for example, if you were trying to move into finance, you would want to get engaged with their activities before the end of the budget cycle or during allocation, or, there are things that are time sensitive for them. Or if you're in projects, for example, and there's a new project coming down the pipeline, maybe you want to get involved in the development of that project ASAP before they assign a project team. And then you're like asking late in the game, hey, can I get on this project? No, there are some things that are going to be time sensitive. You may not know the answer to those right now, and that's okay. Just add a note at the bottom of your list, like, are any of these time sensitive? And bring that question up when you talk to your leadership, which brings us to step number 3. Secure sponsorship and alignment. So this is where you start to have the conversation and say, hey, I feel that I am performing my role to its full expectation, and I am ready now for a raise or a promotion to chief engineer, to finance department, to wherever it was that your end goal was, right? You're going to say, that is where I want to go. And I've been doing some things, and these are the gaps that I have identified. These are the things that I think that I can do to close this gap. What are your thoughts? Can you add? Can you adjust? Do you see this role as a reality for our organization. For example, if you want to go be a finance analyst and they just hired all the finance analysts, they may not need one for a long time, or unless like one of them doesn't work out. Like you want to start asking about the actual business demand behind this role. Okay, so you want to become a chief engineer. Well, we don't really have a lot of heavy duty strategic engineering needs coming down the pipeline. So I just don't know if the organization is going to support that. Like, we just don't have the work for it. Or maybe we do. Yeah, we're going to be acquiring a couple new joint ventures, and so we actually do need an engineering specialist that can help dig through some of their technical stuff to see, or build a plan to integrate their technology into our somethings or whatever. Like, maybe there is a need coming, maybe there's not. And so understanding the actual business needs around the role that you want to go after, or the level that you want to be at. Is there a business demand for this in the near future? Right. So that's alignment piece number one that we need to clarify when you're bringing this up with your supervisors and your leadership. Also, when you present your gap closure plan to them, what can you add? What do you, I think I've already have these things. Do you agree? Do you think that I have demonstrated these skill sets? Is there more that I can do to strengthen this? These are the things that I don't have any experience with. This is how I think I can do. Is there anything that that's going on that would be a great opportunity for me to start getting some of these skill sets? Are any of these time sensitive, like I just mentioned? So like you want the, through this conversation, you want to walk away with them saying, yes, I support you going after this new role, or like a validation that this is something that the organization could need. You may not get that right away. Like, maybe they have to go talk to somebody else. They have to go look at something else. Maybe they have to wait for like strategic planning to roll down from the executive level and see what that looks like. Whatever it is, just get feedback as to what they need in order to tell you whether or not this goal is feasible. Okay. Again, you may not get an answer, yes, I support you, let's go for it, right away. But that's okay, because if they tell you, oh, well, I don't know if the business needs that, but we're supposed to have strategic initiatives rolled out next month, so let's talk about it then. Perfect. Great. I know exactly what it is that you're waiting for to have a better understanding of, so that you can help me understand how viable this goal is in the near to immediate future. Right. And so again, if they can't tell you right away, it's totally fine. Ask them, well, do you want to like, do we need to talk to HR? Do we need to talk to leadership? Like, how do we know what the demands are? Should we go talk to the head of that department? Like, what are your thoughts here? Like, let's work on this together. Right. And so once you kind of get validation that the goal is legit, it's feasible, it's viable, it's needed, you want to then get alignment that the gaps that you've identified are truly the ones that you need to close. And you need to get this in writing. So by getting this in writing, what I mean is, like, once you guys are on the same page and you're aligned that the goal is the goal, then you say, hey, these are the gaps. And by the way, this does not happen in one conversation. This is like multiple conversations. I'm just trying to give you guys a high level of the steps. Okay. Then you, oh, my computer. Then you identify the gaps. You want them to say, yes, if you close those gaps, I see no reason as to why you could not be a chief engineer or a finance analyst or procurement specialist or whatever, right? Like, you want them to say that to you in a meeting. And then after your meeting, you're going to send them an email and be like, per our discussion, these are the gaps that we have identified that I need to work on. And as I work towards this goal, mind you, you do not actually have to close every single gap. As long as you are making momentum on closing most of the gaps, that's enough. It's usually enough. But I digress. That comes later in the negotiation stuff as to how much you've actually closed versus what remains open. But you want it in writing so that it's written somewhere that someone with budgetary authority has given you basically a verbal agreement that if you do these things, you should get paid more. It's very difficult for HR and other people to refute your ask when you say, well, you know, I was told 3 months ago that if I do this, I'm going to get a raise. I have it in an email. So that's what I've been doing and I did it. And so how come I'm not getting a raise now? Sticky situation for other people. Okay. So it's important to get that right. Big deal. Step number 3 is where you cement the plan and it becomes real. All of our ideas, our dreams, our aspirations are that, just dreams and aspirations until we get it written, until we create it somehow. And this is the first time that it is created in a legitimate form via email to your supervisor, validating your goal, validating the gaps, validating whatever plan you guys have to close those gaps so that you can start moving. This is the catalyst that truly begins the process. Okay. Also through the conversations, you can kind of get a sense of how like supportive your supervisor really is. And this is where people are then like, my boss is not supportive. That's when you go take the bad boss bypass module, and there's ways around it. But let's just assume your boss is amazing, totally supports you, all that good stuff. And later on in the conversations, like as you start closing gaps, you always want to check in as you're closing gaps. But as you start getting closer to the actual ask and the formal things later in the steps, you're going to want to start asking your supervisor, okay, like how do I get my role ready for somebody else? So you do want them to support you because you're going to need to be able to turn over and do it as a professional with grace. Right? Is this helpful to you guys? Has anybody ever had this conversation with their supervisor and put it in writing afterwards? And I'm not talking about like filling it out in your performance portal nonsense. That's a pencil whip. Nobody actually like does that shit. Okay. An email you can forward to your personal email, and you should. Right? All right. Number 4, gain access to those gap filling opportunities. So now that you have it written on your hallway permission slip to go after your big dreams, right? You need to actually get assigned to things. You need to actually go sign up for the training, go get on the project, go to the meetings. And you want to transfer to finance? I'm totally in support of it. They need it. They have this budget thing coming up. Go talk to them. Go talk to them. Get invited and be like, hey, so-and-so supervisor, I have a development plan to become a finance analyst, and I would love to sit in on your meetings. Can you start inviting me? Whatever it is, gain access. Go out there, go get it. But all the while, see, this is the key. All the while, as you're putting your hat in there, it is on the backs of, I am developing towards becoming the chief engineer, the finance analyst, the this. I have a development plan to become this, and I need to do this. It begins to plant this seed in people's mind that you're going to be that next thing, and that you've already kind of been like approved to be that thing. You now just have to do some extra work to get there. And so when you enter the conversation about getting access to these things, it's not like, oh, I need to gain experience, or I'm just looking to learn, and who is this random person? No, it's like a supervisor, a manager, somebody who has authority, is pushing my agenda to become this, and they told me, come talk to you. You're now leveraging somebody else's higher rank. You are planting seeds that you're expected to be this new role. And basically, I mean, it's very hard to deny somebody who comes and says such and such leader, such and such manager, I'm developing to become a chief engineer, and so such and such leader, such and such manager said that I need to be sitting in on these meetings. Could you please forward me the invitation? If they say no, okay, well, you direct that no to the supervisor. And come on, bro. You direct that no to the supervisor. And that's when advocacy and other things come into play. But anywho, go get it. Go out there and get it. Hopefully you don't have to deflect to your supervisor. If you do, hopefully you're in the community and I can help you get through that process. Okay, so as you're filling these gaps, you're sitting in on special assignments, you're sitting in on meetings, you're doing training, you're volunteering, right? Like maybe you just go volunteer for Habitat for Humanity to get some hands-on construction experience. I don't know, whatever it is. You could even do gig work, right? So like Upwork, they hire engineers and scientists and stuff like that. You could do some gig work on the side. Just gain the experience wherever it is. If it's not in-house to your organization, go to a training, go to a conference, do some freelance work, go volunteer, whatever. Just begin to close the gaps. Begin to close the gaps. Okay? Now, as you begin to close the gaps, we'll move to step 5, which is gather proof and close feedback loops. So once you begin to close the gaps and you have built a relationship with the finance department, you're on the project team and they're starting to get to know you, getting an understanding of how you work, just enough for them to be able to give feedback to you on your skill sets, your aptitude, whatever, right? You want to initiate a 360 feedback survey. So in my course, I give my students an actual form that they can use, but you could easily just Google 360 feedback and create one on like Google Sheets or whatever. But basically, you're going to ask strategic questions around those gaps that you're looking to close and try and have other people tell you where you are as far as having a working knowledge and acumen and skill set in these gaps. So if one of your gaps was like presenting to stakeholders or something like that, if you've done it a couple times for a project, go to somebody who works on the same project as you and just be like, hey, as you know, I'm working to become a chief engineer. And one of my development goals is to present to stakeholders. Since working on this project, I've done it twice. I would love for you to give me some feedback as to how I'm doing. If they say you're doing amazing, gap is closed. Period. If they say, you still have work to do in the area, like maybe, I don't know, whatever they may say, and you're growing, great. It documents that you're actually doing the thing. You don't have to be good at it just right away. See, that's one of the things that women, like, we feel like we have to be perfect before we have to ask. No, this accelerates that process, because the whole idea is that you have gained time and experience doing the thing, and you can demonstrate that you're able to close gaps. Do you have to close them all? Do you have to do them all? No, you do not. You just have to begin this momentum in these spaces so that you can show that you have the potential to fill that role completely. Does that make sense? Okay, so you've done it just a handful of times, you're still new to it. It's okay. By having someone else say, "Yes, I've seen you do this. You still got some work to do." It documents that you are actually doing it. So when you go and apply or ask, you can say, "Well, yeah, I've been doing this." It's no longer like an empty gap. Like, I'm actually doing it, and I'm getting better at it every single time. Look at my 360 feedbacks. So now you have documentation from your supervisor or your leadership. Normally, I like to go up two levels, but one is fine. You have documentation from your supervisor or line of management saying that, yes, we endorse you going after this role. These are the things that you need to work on. Oh my gosh. And then now you have 360 feedback that shows that you're actually working on them. And by golly, did somebody say that you need to get better at your presentation skills? And then did you go take a LinkedIn learning class? And then did you get better at your presentation skills? Oh, yeah. So then you're going to give them another 360 feedback, right? So if somebody says something that's like still an area of opportunity, perfect. I love it. I love it. We want it. We want that. Why? Because somebody's going to say, "Well, yeah, you're presenting to stakeholders and you're kind of getting the business side of things. But your presentation skills is still kind of lackluster. You're not really like connecting with them. They seem to ask a lot of more questions. Like it's not very clear." For example, I'm just told examples. So you go take your LinkedIn learning class, and then you go to the person who gave you that feedback and just be like, "Hey, thank you so much for your feedback. I took a LinkedIn learning class. Will you help me practice before our next presentation?" And then you practice with them and you work on it or whatever. You're always wanting to learn. You're always wanting to get better no matter what. No matter if it's about a raise or promotion, that's the type of professional you are, right? That's why you're here listening to this right now. But you're going to engage them through your growth. Or if they're like a high level, like maybe you actually sent the 360 feedback to the stakeholders, which is even better. And they're just like, well, the presentation wasn't that clear. Okay, don't bother them. They're busy. Bother your project teammates and be like, "Hey, I really need some help. I want to make sure that it's clear and that it's engaging," or blah, blah, blah. "I took this course and now I'm ready to try it again." If you got a 3 last time on your 360 survey and then you get a 4 the next time, oh my goodness, this gap is closing, right? And you're being very strategic about it. You're taking training, you're engaging people, you're having conversations, you're seeking feedback, all in the name of developing you to become this role. Everyone is going to start to see you as this person. They're going to see your growth. They're going to see the accelerated growth because you have drawn attention to it. People only focus on what you make them look at. And when you do this 360 feedback in the name of, "Hey, I am on a development plan to become a chief engineer or to become a whatever. And some of my goals, I've worked on, and you've been in some of my presentations. Will you please give me some feedback so I can understand how I'm doing as far as like these goals?" The more you say it, the more it's out loud, the more that it's an attention to them, either them giving you access, giving you feedback, giving you something. It draws attention to the fact that you are the chief engineer. You are the da-da-da-da. This is going to rewrite the reputational narrative, personal brand around who you are within the organization, and it's going to start documenting your progress. It's going to keep record that you have actually been doing the things, and it's going to document your progress along the way. So I love it when we don't get perfect fives the first time, because if you can show that in 2 months you went from a 3 to a 5 and you closed 30%, 40, 50, whatever percent of those gaps that were identified in your 360 survey, you can then extrapolate. No, it's not interpolate. Extrapolate. You can then extrapolate your gap closure rate from your 360 feedback to the other gaps that you still that you still may have open that maybe you don't have access to yet. So like maybe there's no special assignment, maybe there's just no opportunity for you to work on those things. Oh, but had you had those opportunities, or had you had access based off your ability to close these gaps in 2 months, you would definitely close those gaps into 3 months as well. So you're in lieu of proving that you can do the thing, in absence of you actually having the time and experience doing it, if you can't get it, closing the other gaps and doing it quickly and documenting that they're closing proves that you have the core skill set and acumen and ability to close those gaps and demonstrate skill sets and roles, responsibility, and do the things even if you can't get access to do them right now. Does that make sense? So like, okay, no, I can't triple jump right now, but I long jump and I sprint. So by way of doing well in sprinting and by way of doing well in long jump, you can infer that I would do well if somebody would teach me how to triple jump. Right? I mean, like the chances of you doing well in triple jump are super high because you've already proven that you do well sprinting and you do well with long jump. So because you have qualified that you have core roles and responsibility qualifications, that's from step 1, right? You have the core, and then whatever gaps you have identified and got alignment on between step 2 and 3, you're now starting to close them. Anything else that you couldn't get access to, you can automatically infer that you would be able to, because you have now demonstrated that you have the core and you have the ability to close gaps. Does that make sense? This is like, when I hear women tell me that, well, I haven't done it yet, I can't apply because I haven't done it yet, is just nonsense. It's just nonsense. You do not have to do it all. And by the way, you don't have to close all these gaps to 100% completion. It is all about, can you gain the momentum, which is why I call my community Career Momentum Lab. Can you gain the momentum? Can you show me that you can make progress in this area that is required for this type of role to be successful? If you can, within a matter of 1 to 6 months, start closing gaps towards this next level, I could not see why they would tell you no. You can't go there. You have to stay where you're at. Like, what? Okay. Now, number 6. As your gaps are closing, right? So maybe you're going from like 3 to 4 or whatever. As your gaps are closing, as you're getting access to these gap closure opportunities, as your gaps are closing, you're starting to demonstrate that you have the ability to perform at this new level, because you're starting to stretch yourself. And this is what I mean. These are actual stretch assignments. Whatever somebody calls stretch assignment and they gave to you is, I always like to review all of my client stretch assignments to make sure that it falls within one of these steps, because Stretch assignments means I'm going to give you more work and not pay you more. So unless it's within this context, anywho, I digress. So step number 6 is to identify and claim future level opportunities. So as you're beginning to gain access to these gap closure opportunities, as you're working on closing your gaps, as you're spreading the news to everybody that, hey, you want to be the new chief engineer, or you want to be the whatever, and you're developing towards that, as you kind of done a 360, probably 2, and starting to see some of those gaps closing, we're beginning to really now not just prove that you can perform, but begin to position yourself to operate at that next high level. And so this is going to be, again, looking at your organization's employee levels and descriptions and things like that around the role, and say, okay, if I were this role next year, or, in the next 6 months or whatever it is, if I were this role, what work would I be doing that I'm not currently doing right now? And is there a way that I can start to put my name on some of those things? Oh, we're going to start acquiring other organizations, or we're expanding in this technology development. Can I start meeting those people? Can I know what's coming down the pipeline? Can I sit in? Can I see the meeting minutes? Can I Okay, so this is something that I would like to work on as chief engineer. This is a project that, would I be assigned this when I become chief engineer? By you gathering work that you don't already have in the posture of this new role, it puts a demand on the fact that there is work to be done at this next level. Because organizations don't want to just pay you more just to pay you more, right? They don't want to pay you more because they see that you can gain new skills. Like, okay, great. Is there actual work that needs to be done that this new role, this new level that you're going after would be the right role to do it? Yes. Let's start identifying that. Let's start putting your name in those conversations. You don't have to actually start doing any of that work. As a matter of fact, I want you to resist the urge to do it because you have not yet received that raise or promotion. You just say, well, when I become chief engineer, I would love to do that. Can I meet them and introduce myself to them and then let them know, hey, I'm on a development plan right now to become chief engineer. And when I do, this is one of the things that I would love to start working on. Can you send me meeting minutes when you guys have meetings? I would just like to keep an eye on how you guys are progressing. You don't have to do anything to receive meeting minutes, right? But it puts it gets you ready. It like warms up the engine so that when you go and ask, you can be like, well, yeah, there's actually a lot of work that is ready to go for this role. I've identified these projects. This department is going through this transition. I can support that. I can do this. I can do that. And so you want to start identifying those things, and this will help justify the raise or the promotion. HR does not work in your department. HR if you go and ask HR for a raise or promotion, they're going to turn around and they're going to ask your supervisor. Okay, well, do we have the work to give this person for them to have this role? If your supervisor is a busy person, like most of us are, you have now given that person yet another thing to figure out. You are the leader of your career. You go figure it out. Put it all together in your ask package. Okay. So you want to kind of start gathering those things and keep your supervisor or whoever your leadership advocate is for this transition, keep them abreast. Like, hey, I was talking to so-and-so and they said that they were doing this. Is this something that I would potentially be able to support as a chief engineer? Oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay, great. Add it to your list. Per our conversation, this would make sense. I'm going to go ahead and reach out to them just to see if they can send me meeting minutes so that I can learn more about what they're doing in anticipation for, that transition, right? Again, keeping it all on paper. It's not real if it's not on paper. Okay. But you want to craft a business case for having the role that you want within the organization if it's not already an existing role. Okay. Socialize with those people and decision makers, so by the time you're ready for the transition, they're already expecting you. Okay. And leadership will already see you as the fit, because they're not going to have to train somebody. They're not going to have to onboard somebody. They're not going to have to, have somebody tackle the learning curve. You've already begun that process, and it makes it a lot more efficient as far as like people resource wise to allow somebody to make that transition when they've already proactively begun. So this will help with your ask. Again, don't do any of the work. I warn you. Okay, do not. You're not getting paid for it yet. Do the work that you're being paid for, and only anything extra is only to close gaps that you have identified that are strategic for you. Now, step 7 is to formalize the ask. Okay, so at this point, your leadership, HR, whoever work groups, everybody should know. Everybody should be on board or whatever. But once you have at least 2 360s done, and you have your mini business case for future work tasks of this role, you can do the ask. You have enough documentation to formally go ahead and ask. And you should begin receiving feedback throughout this process as far as timing and everything. Detach yourself from the idea that this has to happen at the end of the year. Everyone else will still maintain this idea because that's kind of how corporate world works. But just know that if there is enough business demand, and that's from step 6, if there's enough tasks that need to be done and they are actively awaiting somebody to do them today, there is no reason why this couldn't happen in the middle of the year. Okay, so let them think that it's happening at the end of the year all they want. But if you look at your gap closure, if you look at how much progress you've made, and you look at, well, the demand is there. Like, they're literally acquiring these companies now. They're starting to write the acquisition technology transformation planning. They're like, this is happening now. There's no reason why you can't say, I need this title and this role now so that I can go in and help them. Like, there's a need, there's a business need. I have the skills, I'm closing the gaps. Let's go ahead and make this happen. Right? So you don't have to wait till the end of the year when they do normal cycles for this to happen. Okay. So you want to formalize the ask. Okay. You're going to be presenting your impact portfolio, your skill sets, your goals, basically everything from all the steps. Okay, there's like a long list, but all the things that I've been talking about, and some things that I haven't mentioned that I do deep dives into. Like, I'm staying super high level today because, I mean, it's already been an hour, and I could literally talk about this all day long. But so I'm trying to keep it high level. But there's a list of things. But in any type of those emails, your market analysis for these roles in the market, your gap closure plan, your 360 proving that you're closing the gaps, any of these documents that you have, your future level opportunities, basically that mini business case of the things that you would be doing if once you get that role, you want to just get all of that, put it in a cute little portfolio, and let them know, hey, supervisor, I think we are ready to go ahead and ask for this promotion to happen right now. I want to set up a meeting with HR and you to discuss this. Everybody should know that this is happening already. It's just now you have all your ducks in a row to give them this cute little package and say, how soon can I expect for this promotion to be formalized. The ask is no longer, can I have this raise? Can I have this promotion? They already said yes in step 3. They already said yes. They said, you got to do all these things. Oh, guess what? I did them, or at least most of them, or at least got started. Whatever. I have enough documentation. So when can this be formalized? And this is the part where a lot of people, you really have to have like a little bit of mental resilience here and an expectation. They're probably going to say, not now. We have to think about it. We have to look at it. That's fine. What are we looking at? What are we thinking about? How? If they say no during that meeting, or as a follow-up to that meeting, if they say no, not right now, the question is always how? How? Why? Why not now? How can we do it now? What needs to happen? Because you told me in step 3, if I close these gaps, well, according to my gap closure plan, I only have access to 70% of the gaps via your organization. Like you don't have any opportunity for me to close these other 30, right? The long jump. I can't long jump here. We don't have a long jump coach. But if we did, I would definitely close that gap because I have closed all the other ones. So, you may have to go through some negotiation and explaining these things, but like I did all the things that you told me to do. The business need is there. I'm really just not understanding like what is the holdup here? How can we make that happen? What do we need to do? And if they are sticklers about the raises and promotions happens during the cycle, okay, then tell them to put it in writing now that it will happen then. How much am I going to get a raise for? What will my title be? And what will my effective date be? Basically, how they gave you a job offer. And if you didn't already know this, you can take a job offer to a bank and get a loan and have never worked a day. They will just look at what you're supposed to be making and say, okay, well, based on what you're supposed to be doing, we can give you a loan. That is how I was able to relocate to my first job out of college. I literally had I didn't have a credit score. I had nothing. And so like people didn't want to rent an apartment to me because I had no credit score. And they were like, no. And so like I brought my offer letter and I was like, but I have this job. Look at the income that I'm going to be making. And then they were like, oh, okay, great. And so I did the same thing when I bought, when I went down the road of buying my first house and everything. Anywho, so that is, so if they don't give it to you, then ask them how. What are we waiting for? What do we need? What is the holdup? How can we make this happen? And if the only thing that they're saying is it doesn't formally get done until then, just be like, well, can I get it in writing that I am going to get this new title and what my salary is going to be? I don't understand why they can't give it to you. And there's a lot of negotiation that goes into this. But if you've done everything that you're supposed to do and they had signed off on it in step 3 and they can't even write on a piece of paper that they're going to honor their side of the bargain, I don't know if you should be investing a lot of time with that organization. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like you over here ducking and dodging, like not ducking, doing what you need to do off of their good word. And then when it comes down to it, they can't they can't put their word on the line either. Like that doesn't sit right with me. So, but a lot of times they will just straight up give it to you, especially if there's a business need for those activities at the higher level. Because guess who's not going to be doing those activities until they either get it in writing or they see it in their paycheck? You are not doing anything outside of your current roles and responsibilities that are not going to lead to you getting this promotion. And so don't play wife if you ain't got a ring. Okay. And a lot of my clients have received mid-year promotions, mid-year bonuses. So here's another thing. If they don't give you a promotion or a raise, they may be able to give you that letter and then a merit bonus. So that's like the compromise to kind of hold you over until the actual cycle. It's like, okay, well, I recognize that we do everything in the cycle and this would be, unusual. And I don't want to go against the grain here, but can you put it in writing that I am going to receive this raise, this new title, and I would like a bonus to equal the compensation difference for the rest of the year. They can give you a bonus in the middle of the year. They can do that. And if they can't do these things, again, okay, so those are the 7 steps. Any thoughts, feelings, questions? What are you guys thinking right now? Let me know in the chat. And more importantly, what I want you to do is join the community. Let me go ahead and share my screen so that I can give you guys the link. It should be in somewhere, links somewhere. But let me share my screen. I'm just going to share my entire screen. Here. Okay. So the Career Momentum Lab, if you scan this, it will take you to my school. It's free to sign up. And so, like I said, we're going to start migrating all of our stuff. I have negotiation master classes. I have networking master classes, confidence, all of those other aspects of the promotion playbook. So there are 9. And did I mention there's a bonus module as well? Oh, totally forgot about this one. It is the PIP punchback. So if you are on a performance plan, it is possible to get promoted off of a performance plan. I know it feels like they're trying to fire you, but by the way, you can get a promotion off of a performance plan. So there are ways to leverage being on a performance plan so hard that it gets you promoted. So that's a bonus module that recently I helped somebody and we got them off of a performance plan and directly into a promotion using this double leverage technique. And it was really fun, very empowering, because PIPs can be super stressful. It just is. So go ahead and scan this. It's going to bring you to my school community. You can sign up for 2 weeks for free. And because I haven't put anything in there, the price may be a little low right now, but once we start migrating things, the price is going to go up. So I highly recommend that you get in there now while we're under construction, so that you can lock in a lifetime price. Normally my programs to go through the promotion playbook, the 7 steps for me to take you through that is anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000. So definitely want to make this available to more people, and this community is how I'm doing that. So I would love for you to join so that you can follow these steps for yourself and utilize the trainings that I'll be adding to do this for you. I'm excited for this. I am super excited for this. And again, the link should be somewhere. So if this isn't scanning, technology, you know what I mean? Technology. Okay. But like I said, I literally just set this up. So you're not going to see much in there right now, but we're going to start migrating things over. So I'm super excited about that. And I think I stopped sharing. All right, here we go. Okay, so that's all we've got for now. If you're watching this in the promotion playbook course area, keep going, because you will see a deep dive into all of the 7 steps, templates, scripts, step by step, because like a lot of these, like even though they're one step, like the conversation kind of happens in pieces or over time, or you need an example of the 360, or how do you develop strategic questions for your 360, or all of those different things. So that's going to be in, like, if you're watching this in the course space, within my community, you will see a deep dive into each of these 7 steps, as well as the other modules. So if you're feeling like your boss is the issue, toxic, if you need more confidence, if you are dead scared to negotiate and you're totally new to it, or if you're on a PIP or whatever those other hurdles may be, that's going to be in the course area as well, as we begin to migrate things over and recreate some things. Now, after having coached so many women, it's like we can start chugging this out. I've got the formula now. I've got it, and so I'm looking forward to more of you getting raises. So if you're not yet making $100,000, then I highly recommend you join this community, because that's your first threshold before you get to your 150 and your 200 pluses. Okay, my goal is to get all of my clients above 200,000, but we first have to get you making 6 figures. So, anywho, thank you so much for joining. I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the chat, was this helpful? Let me know. And I would like for you to connect with me on LinkedIn. So if you go to LinkedIn and type Malia Lim, this is how you spell it, Malia Lim. If you type that in and find me, the link, either in my featured posts or the link somewhere. There's links everywhere online these days. But the link will give you my Magic Monday framework, which is basically my brag book. So if you are going to implement these steps, then you definitely should be using the Magic Monday framework every Monday. Takes about 20 to 30 minutes to go through the framework. And when you download it, it will give you an ebook, and it will take you through a mini course so that you can see exactly how to do it. But that is your workplace brag book on like all of the things that you're accomplishing. And as you put together your gap closure plan, those are the things that's going to go under the A alignment of the Magic Monday framework. So you can be working on closing those gaps every single week throughout the year, and putting together like your 360 milestones and things like that in there. So definitely grab the Magic Monday framework. Hopefully there's a link in the booth somewhere. If not, you can find it on my LinkedIn. If you don't find it, just DM me on LinkedIn. I'll send it to you. Same with the school community. If for whatever reason you missed that QR code, or you're watching on your mobile and you can't figure out how to get to the link, just DM me. I'll get it to you. So this was really fun. I'm going to try to come back a little bit later, and it's because, okay, when I did the poll, let me tell you what the other subjects were that you guys wanted, because if I have time a little bit later, I'll come back and record another one. So the other ones were confidence. I'm writing a book right now on confidence. Okay. Can you guys do me a favor? Let me know which title like speaks to you a little bit more. A, drop it in the chat. A, if you like the title Creating Confidence, drop A. Or drop B if you like the title Confident on Purpose. Creating Confidence, drop a letter A. Or Confident on Purpose, drop a letter B. Thank you so much. That's like super, super helpful. Just to let me know what title kind of jumps out at you. But I'm writing a book right now on confidence. I have done keynote speeches and workshops on confidence, imposter syndrome, finding your voice and things like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and write a book on that. Well, I am writing a book on that. And then we have a masterclass coming up pretty soon. I think it's going to be in October on how to be seen and heard in every room that you walk into. A lot of women, especially in male dominant spaces, they struggle to find their voice, be heard, be seen. Like this notion that your hard work will speak for itself is just foolish at this point. But like, how do you speak up in meetings? How do you get other people to like respect your opinion and actually listen to your suggestions and not mansplain to you why you're such an idiot and things like that. So we'll do I have a masterclass on that in October. So maybe if I come back, I'll do some quick quick highlights on what we will be seeing in that masterclass. By the way, strategic visibility is a total underrated skill set. I see a lot online. Imposter syndrome was like really big for a while, but right now, like executive presence is like the buzzword. Whatever you want to call it, strategic visibility is currency when it comes to getting what you want out of your career. Part of that is built into the 7 steps, the promotion map, right? Constantly telling people, oh, well, I'm going to be the next chief engineer. I'm going to be the da-da-da. Like you telling them over and over, the repetition of that builds this idea in their mind that they're going to be able to see you as that thing. And this goes to the way our brains as humans work. Through the years, through my own personal struggles and then turning around and helping other women, I've learned that a lot of working with humans has to be based off of how humans work. Our brain, the way that we relate to each other, our caveman to, technology driven man, like how our brains process information, how we relate to each other, like tribal nature, our cognitive functioning, our subconscious, our conscious mind, our memory recall. Like there's just so much that happens in the human brain. And when you understand how the human brain is functioning and you can offer information that is best digested for the human brain and the way that we experience information and knowledge, that is going to give you 1,000 times better chance of having your message and your objective like land. And so through my own personal experience, I started learning about the brain. I actually started when I was 7 because I was part of the world's largest study for girls with ADHD. So I started learning about ADHD and how my mind worked and how ADHD worked. And then when I started as a professional and started having workplace toxic bosses and workplace drama and all this other stuff, I started to really understand how people interact and relate with each other. And then as I evolved as a professional and I really wanted to understand how we process information and how we recall in our subconscious mind and how our gut reactions and intuition and all of that other stuff that they call, though that's all science, neuroscience. And so I've done a lot of learning in these areas. And so as I coach and I develop frameworks and I tried things out myself, again, I have accelerated my career exponentially because I tried these things out myself first, and then I coach, some clients through it. And when I see success with them, then we roll out frameworks like the promotion map and the promotion playbook. But strategic visibility is already built into that map process. So like you don't have to think about it, but strategic visibility is an underrated skill set. If you can understand how to bring visibility to what you're doing in a positive and constructive light and get people excited about it, your career will take the off. Okay. Another one that you guys wanted is how to publish a book. Like I said, I'm writing a book on confidence right now. And more so if you want to publish a book to be part of a business. So like if you're a coach, a speaker, that's more so of what I'm trying to share. And I'm going to be sharing that within my community, just because so many people have asked me. They're like, Malia, I want to start a business. I want to do stuff. And I'm just like, okay, well, most of my clients are professionals with a lot of knowledge and skill sets, and writing a book is one of the ways that you can make a business for yourself, without like having a lot of time away from work. So maybe we do that. And then another one is work-life balance. I work full-time. I have a 4-year-old. I have a business, and I have a husband, and we have rental properties, and I have hobbies, and all. Like, how do I do it all? I would love to share some of my techniques and learn from you guys too on work-life balance. So if I get some more time a little bit later, I'll come back on and maybe do some of that for you guys. But this has been so wonderful. I absolutely love training. I absolutely love sharing my knowledge. I hope this was helpful to you, and I hope to see you in my community, so that we can do more of this, a lot more, so that we can make deals in spas and heels and not on golf courses anymore. All right. So until next time, my name is Malia Lim. I'm here to help women in STEM confidently go after their next raise or promotion, go from undervalued to undeniable, go from invisible to impactful, and finally get the career that they have always worked for, bring it into fruition, and start living at their highest potential as professionals. Until next time, y'all, my name is Malia. Stay savvy.